In this video, I'll show you how to make an iPad child-friendly. So if you want to set up parental controls and restrictions on an iPad to keep your child safe, including limiting certain app usage, blocking inappropriate content, and also restricting purchases, then keep watching, as in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to do this. So the first thing you need to do is head over to your iPad, and we're just going to click on the settings icon to pull up the settings. From the left-hand navigation, you want to scroll all the way down to screen time and select this, and in this window on the right is where we can customize all of our restrictions and parental controls for the account. So the first thing to select is downtime, and what this feature will allow you to do is to disable certain applications at certain times and days of the week. So this is a nice feature to set up certain usage restrictions on the account to prevent your child from obviously spending too much time on the iPad. So to enable this, you just need to toggle on the scheduled button like so, and then we can choose to have this set to either every day or custom days of the week. If you click on customize days, then you can set exactly which days you want this to be activated, as well as the times that you want this to be turned on. Now, once you've turned on downtime, then we need to decide which apps we're going to enable during this period. So to do that, come back out of screen time and then scroll down and click on always allowed. And the applications that you allow in here will be the apps that your child can still access regardless of if the iPad is in downtime or not. So at the top, the first thing we have is contacts. Now you can decide whether you want your child to be able to access all forms of communication or whether you want to limit them to specific contacts. So you can press specific contacts and then choose the contacts from your contact list. Then if we head back over to the previous window, you can see underneath allowed apps, the first thing we have is phone. Now this phone app by default will always be enabled to make emergency calls, but you could decide if you want the features beneath like messages, FaceTime and maps. These will also be enabled by default. You can choose whether you want to remove these or keep these on the list. You can also scroll down to more apps at the bottom here, and you can decide whether to add or remove them to the allowed apps list. Now just remember that these will be the apps that will be available during downtime. So anything you add to this allowed apps list, your child will be able to access this regardless of what mode the iPad is on. Then if we head back over to the screen time menu, the next thing we have is app limits. From here, we can add specific time restrictions to apps. So if I click on add limit, you can then go through your applications and decide which one that you want to limit. Once you've selected an application like so, just click on the next button at the top, and you could decide how much time we want to restrict this app to. So let's say, for example, we wanted to limit this app here to only 3 hours every single day. We can also click on customize days just like before, and we can set this for specific days of the week. And then we can just click on add in the top right hand side to go ahead and add this time restriction. Of course, you can add as many limits as you want just by clicking the add limit button at the bottom here. Then if we head back over to screen time, you can also choose to enable this screen distance feature here. Now this is a feature that will reduce eye strain in children, so it will basically alert you to where you should be holding your iPad, which is a nice feature to make sure your child's not holding the iPad either too close or too far away. Then if you come down to communication and click on communication limits, here again we can decide which contacts your child can access on this iPad. Now right at the top, this is just your default communication when the iPad's not in the downtime mode, so you can decide whether you want your child to be able to access all contacts or specific contacts from here. And then the feature below is obviously everything during downtime, and once again you can decide whether your child can access specific contacts or just contact everyone from your list. Then if you head back over to screen time, come down to communication safety. It's a good idea to make sure communication safety is turned on. This is a feature that can detect explicit images and that kind of thing, so it is handy keeping this one turned on. Then we can come back over to screen time, come down to restrictions and select content and privacy restrictions. Make sure you have content and privacy restrictions turned on like so. Then come down to iTunes and App Store purchases. From here, you could decide whether you want your child to be able to install and delete new applications. I'm actually just going to turn these all off to don't allow. Then head back over to the previous menu, click on allowed apps and features, and from here we can disable certain applications from appearing on the home screen. You can then head back, click on store, web, Siri and game center content, and also on here we'll have some customization of what we can allow our child to see. For example, you can change the settings for music, videos, movies, books and all that kind of thing. Web content, if you're going to allow your child access to the web, I'd recommend setting this to only approved websites or limiting adult websites. We can then head back, and also you can do the same for Siri. You also have a few options down here for the game center. You can either allow or disallow your child to add friends when they're gaming, as well as using some other features like screen recording and private messaging. Then if we head back once again, you can also change some privacy settings here by allowing or disallowing some of these features. And then finally, you have things like passcode and Face ID at the bottom, accounts and mobile data. All these things I'd recommend just setting to don't allow to restrict them from being accessed. Then come back over to screen time, and once you've finished in these settings, that's pretty much all the options we have to choose from. And once you're happy with all of these changes, I'd recommend setting lock screen time settings, this button here, and from here you'll just need to set up a 4-digit passcode, and you want to make sure this passcode is something your child isn't going to guess, and this is going to prevent your child from coming into the screen time settings and adjusting any of this stuff. So it's super important to set this up, and then we can come back out of here. And that's it guys. By following the steps in this video, that should have now made your iPad more child friendly. If you did find this video helpful, then please consider dropping a like and subscribing.